Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer 55551, and I am back with a My 2 Cent Nintendo / gaming video for this week, for the week of January 10th to the 16th, and we got 5 stories to cover this week, though. Some of them, the stories we're going to be covering is CD Project Red has responded to the situation surrounding Cyberpunk 2077. Controversy seems to have hit basically the YouTube channel GameXplain over certain working conditions and issues and all that stuff. Nintendo showed off trailers for Super Mario 3D World, including information about the add-on to Super Mario 3D World, Bowser's Fury. Some information on cloud gaming regarding that we could be seeing stuff like Geforce Now and Google Stadia making their way built into the TVs without, using stuff like a Chromecast for, Stadia and all that stuff. And of course, Disney and Lucasfilms announced a new their new gaming publishing, though, Lucasfilm Games and all that stuff, which I'm going to get to on that one as well. Well, not to mention, I just finished watching season 2 of the Mandalorian. Really like the ending, though. I do hope a season 3 does happen. I think it is, but I'm not 100% sure. But I do hope to see a season 3 of the Mandalorian. On to the next Disney Plus show, which will be Marvel's WandaVision and that stuff. But before we get started with our stories, though, I'm going to do a rundown of what I like to call the quick My 2 Cents part. Stories that kind of have caught my attention, but I'm not going to go into a huge amount of details and all that stuff. And we only have three parts of the quick My 2 Cents. The first one is that apparently Jim Carrey has taken home the Critics' Choice Awards for his role in playing Dr. Robotnik, or Dr. Eggman, the villain in the Sonic the Hedgehog movie that came out last year. And honestly, I'm very pleased that movie did very well at the box office. So I was concerned about it, considering movies based off of video games don't exactly have a great track record and all that stuff, but it's nice that this one did well. It's not perfect, but it was definitely enjoyable nevertheless. So kudos to Jim Carrey for taking home the Critics' Choice Award for his role as playing the villain of Dr. Robotnik, though. We also learned that sadly one of the voice actors, I believe, from Fire Emblem Three Houses, named Brad Venable, unfortunately passed away, and that's really unfortunate, though, and all that. So, and he's also done voice acting for several other games and so forth. So really sad to see him pass away, and my heart goes out to his friends and families. Nevertheless, though. And of course, last but not least, we are learning that next week Capcom will be doing a broadcast regarding the Resident Evil series. This one will be focused on mostly Resident Evil Village, or Resident Evil 8 to be exact. They said that they'll also bring up other Resident Evil related news. No word on what that might be. It could be, if it does this, it could be. We know that there are rumors of a CGI anime Netflix Resident Evil series happening, though. We know that the Resident Evil movie is getting a reboot. And then there's the rumors about a Switch Resident Evil game, or a Switch Focus to be exact. Some people speculate that could be Resident Evil Revelations 3 and all. Again, we won't know until next week whether they bring up information about that, or if it's just focused squarely on Resident Evil Village and all. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the main focus is on Resident Evil Village or Resident Evil 8 and all. Okay, with the quick My 2 Cent part now done, we're going to get to our first story, and this one has to do with the announcement of Lucasfilm Games. Now, most people, at least during my generation and all, will remember LucasArts and all. A lot of the games they put out are mostly from, Star Wars to the Indiana Jones. Like, for me, I remember the Super Star Wars games, like Super Star Wars, Super Empire Strikes Back, Super Return of the Jedi, Star Wars Shadows of the Empire, Rogue Squadron, and all that stuff, The Force Unleashed, to the Indiana Jones games like Indiana Jones Great Adventure on the Super Nintendo and all. But sadly, when Disney purchased Lucasfilms and Star Wars rights and all that, though, unfortunately they shuttered or shut down LucasArts and all, and basically gave EA the rights, the exclusivity rights, or at least for a certain amount of years, to the Star Wars franchise. And well, let's just say not everyone was pleased with that, and the response have been mixed at best. While there's no doubt that Jedi Fallen Order was a good game, and definitely it was, don't get me wrong, EA's handling of the Star Wars license hasn't been that great. Battlefront did not exactly sit well with a lot of people. Battlefront 2, well, we all know about the whole loot box controversy on that one, to basically the cancellation of several Star Wars games, including some linear and single-player games that Visceral was working on, but didn't fit EA's vision and all that stuff, to even rumors about comments that the CEO of EA, Andrew Wilson, making about how he didn't want the Star Wars license at all that stuff, so although supposedly they deny that and all that stuff. So it was definitely a mixed bag at best, with EA just squarely handling the Star Wars license. Well, it seems as though apparently that Disney is going to be taking a different approach, and while I certainly think this approach should have been handled from the beginning, though, I will say it's better late than never. In an article, if I could get it out, an article from Nintendo Life, it brings up basically the name Star Wars Video Games joins forces under Lucasfilm's Games. The article reads that, quote, Lucasfilm Games will now be officially identified to all Star Wars related video games released from Lucasfilms moving forward. Lucasfilm's legacy in the video game industry obviously stretched back decades. With Star Wars entering a new and unprecedented phase of creativity, Lucasfilm Games will be developing in collaboration with some of the finest studios around the world. To mark this occasion, Lucasfilm Games has launched a new social channel on Twitter and Facebook to help deliver breaking news and more to fans. Apart from the logo, which will appear in all Star Wars games from now on, it's also prepared a special sizzle reel, which they have a video about it, to celebrate the recent history of games from Lucasfilm. And after this sizzle reel came out, we learned that 2 games from Lucasfilm Games are in development, though. The first one happens to be a Indiana Jones game, though, which is being handled by Bethesda and basically the Wolfenstein developers Machine Games. From StarWars.com, it reads that, quote, in a major news for fans of the cinematic icon, Lucasfilm Games announced today that a new Indiana Jones game will be swinging our way, being developed by the award-winning studios Machine Games and executive produced by game industry icon Todd Howard of Bethesda Game Studios. The game will tell a wholly original standalone tale set at the height of the career of the famed adventurer. While few details surrounding indie games has been revealed, Bethesda Software released a cryptic tease that may hold some clues, and they showed the little tweet and the trailer for it, though. And that's not the only game announced from them. The other one is another Star Wars game, but this one being handled by Ubisoft. From an article from Destructoid, again, links are in the description. Publisher Ubisoft and Develop Massive Entertainment has announced that production has begun on an open-world adventure set in the Star Wars universe. The as yet untitled new project will release under the recently revitalized Lucasfilm game banner. First revealed in an article with Wire, the Star Wars project is in its very early stage, with Massive Entertainment of The Division and the Crew fame still in the recruitment stage. The Ubisoft title represents the first major Star Wars game not produced at EA in almost a decade. EA has been and will continue to be a very strategic and important partner for us and going forward, said Sean Shoptaw, Senior VP of Interactive Entertainment at Disney, but we did feel like there's room for others, though. Guillemot, Guillemot, apologize if I'm not saying his name correctly though, spoke with his excitement for the project. The Star Wars galaxy is an amazing source of motivation for our team to innovate and push the boundaries of our medium, said the Ubisoft CEO. Building new worlds, characters, and stories that will become lasting parts of the Star Wars lore is an incredible opportunity for us, as we are excited to have Ubisoft's massive studios working closely with Lucasfilm Games to create an original Star Wars adventure that is different from anything that has been done before. They said the news came less 24 hours after it was revealed developer Machine Games and publisher Bethesda are starting to work on a new Indiana Jones universe. Given that the relaunch of Lucasfilm Games was only scant days ago, clearly the brand is eager to stake its spot in the world of AAA game, capitalizing some of the biggest and most profitable IPs to do so. Lucasfilm Games put out a tweet saying, quote, "We're thrilled to announce that we are working with Ubisoft and Ubisoft Massive to develop a brand new story-driven open-world Star Wars adventure." To me, I'm both excited by this, but at the same time, I'm also concerned about this, though. On one hand, though, I think it is a smart move on Disney and Lucasfilms to do this, though. Having EA solely just handle the Star Wars license turned out to be not to be the best of ideas out there, outside of Jedi Fallen Order and all that stuff. So to have other studios take a shot at the license and all is definitely, in my opinion, the right approach that should have been done in the first place after Disney acquired Lucasfilms and Star Wars in all in all. So this should have been done from the very beginning, not letting EA just handle the license on that. On the other hand, though, there's also concerns about who they're going to give it to and whether or not these studios are up to the task and all that stuff. I am concerned about the Indiana Jones game, though. I'm not completely going to write it off or anything like that. It's too early to tell to be whether that game will be good. But to hear the fact that Bethesda and Todd Howard's handling it, though, well, let's just say Bethesda's reputation has kind of taken a hit following the release of Fallout 76. So there's some concerns with Bethesda being involved in it. On the other hand, Machine Games, which is the same studio that handled the excellent Wolfenstein games, though, does give me some hope that this Indiana Jones game might be good, to be exact, though. So we'll have to wait and see about that. As for whether or not we will see this on other systems and all that stuff, well, it certainly is up in the air, considering the fact that Microsoft now will now own Bethesda and all of its properties like Machine Games and so forth. So it is possible we could see a situation where, and we've heard Microsoft said this before, the fact of the matter is that they might release their games, they might release, like, say, the Indiana Jones game, like, on their system first, their Xbox Series S and X, PC, Xbox Game Pass, before making it way to another system. But at the same time, it could be a scenario where this Indiana Jones game the only way to play it is only on Xbox Series S and X, PC, or Game Pass. So it is possible this may be exclusively just to the Xbox brand and the Xbox system only. But like anything, it's too early to tell. We'll have to wait and see. As for the open world approach with Ubisoft, though, again, I'm kind of mixed on this. Ubisoft has sort of a hit and miss record on all that stuff. They've known to be doing a lot of controversies, and some of those controversies came from the issues and the controversies in terms of what's going on in their business, to basically a lot of their games being, taking the Ubisoft approach to open worlds and all that stuff, to some of the controversies such as the visuals in the original Watch Dogs, the review embargo debacle that we saw with Assassin's Creed Unity, and how Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint underperformed and had a negative impact that forced them to delay Watch Dogs Legions and Immortal Phoenix Rising. On the other hand, there are games that Ubisoft has produced that have been good. I thought Assassin's Creed Origins and Odyssey is definitely one of their better Assassin's Creed games out there, though. I will say Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands was definitely one of Ubisoft's better games, though. And I will say Immortal Phoenix Rising, having been playing that, though, that one is also one of their better games. It borrows heavily from, you know, Breath of the Wild. Whether you think that's good or bad, that's going to come down to your preference and taste and all that stuff. So yeah, Ubisoft has a mixture of a track record, though. Yes, they can produce good games, but they've also been criticized before, especially with the Ubisoft sameness, open world approach, and all that stuff. So I'm kind of mixed on them handling this one, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt for now, and we'll have to wait and see. And I do hope Lucasfilm Games also reaches out to other studios. I would like to see maybe have Sony do a Star Wars game. Look how well they did with the Spider-Man game. Maybe let Microsoft, maybe do a Star Wars game. Maybe let Devolver Digital try a shot at an Indiana Jones or a Star Wars game. Or better yet, why not team up with Nintendo? Why not do a Indiana Jones or Star Wars game with them? Why not team up with the developers of the Xenoblade Chronicles series, or the folks who did Breath of the Wild? Or better yet, and I've heard this suggestion before, why not bring back Rogue Squadron? Why not do an original story with that kind of franchise? That's beloved by a lot of Nintendo fans out there. So I think teaming up with Lucasfilm Games, teaming up with Nintendo, and doing a Rogue Squadron game would definitely would be a good thing, especially considering how well the Nintendo Switch is doing, though. So overall, I would say for this announcement, I would say yes, there are some concerns I have about this announcement, but at the same time, I think it is also the right move. I think it's time we let other studios handle, you know, like a Star Wars or Indiana Jones, not have EA have the exclusive rights and all. Make no mistake, EA will probably still produce a Star Wars game. There's no denying the fact that given how well Jedi Fallen Order was handled, or how well that game did, that we'll probably see a sequel to Jedi Fallen Order. But I also think that we should let other studios, whether it's big studios or even smaller studios, take a shot at the Star Wars license, and of course even the Indiana Jones license as well. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 2, and this one has to do with cloud gaming, specifically how we could see stuff like Geforce Now and Stadia start making their way being built inside some of these upcoming smart TVs. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one we're going to be taking a look at cloud gaming, particularly with Stadia, mostly on Stadia, but also with Geforce Now, though. Cloud gaming has kind of been gotten off to sort of a rough start, especially when Google launched Stadia back in 2019 and all that stuff, when many criticize it as being in sort of like you're paying for basically a beta and all that stuff. But during 2020, though, I will say Stadia certainly has improved in certain areas and so forth, though. It's certainly, I would say, it's in a better spot than it was in 2019. And I think the whole whole situation with Cyberpunk 2077 may have benefited Stadia to a certain degree and all that stuff. But one of the selling points that Google had with Stadia was basically that you didn't need a console or anything like that. You had to basically just, you could play it anywhere on any device and all that stuff. Now at the time, though, Apple kind of restricted basically people using that you couldn't use like the app or anything like that to play Stadia or even Geforce Now. Of course, now they've changed that a little bit, and now they have this web application app that you can use and all that stuff. And of course, for playing Stadia on your TV, at the time you needed a Chromecast to really play or even use Stadia at all, though. Well, it looks like we're starting to see that several TV manufacturers may be taking a different approach, and we may be seeing Stadia and Geforce Now kind of built into the TVs to a certain degree, very similar to how we saw with stuff like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Instant Video, and of course, like Disney Plus and HBO Max and all. In several articles, let me get them out. In an article from The Verge, it reads that Google Stadia and Geforce Now are coming to LG TVs in 2021, though. The article reads that, quote, LG has announced that it's bringing two of the leading cloud gaming service, Google Stadia and NVIDIA Geforce Now, to its newest TVs later this year. Stadia is expected to be available in the second half of the year after the 2021 lineup of OLEDs and QNEDs and NanoCell TV starts shipping, with Geforce Now coming sometime later. The news signifies a continued expansion of both services. Google has promised that Stadia will come to Google TV, including the latest Chromecast, in the first half of 2021. Last week, Sony announced its 2021 lineup of TV. They all run Google TV, so it's a safe bet that you'll be able to find Stadia on those when they ship in a few months, although we haven't heard any official announcement at this time. As for Geforce Now, it's currently available on NVIDIA's Shield platform, Windows, Mac OS, Chrome OS, Android, and in beta on Safari for OS and iPad OS, similar to with Stadia as well. But it's not shipping natively on any TV, so LG is among the first ones in that regard. While LG is only promising that they come to the 2021 models at launch, which have a new game optimizer area of setting that convincingly brings together the option that gamers care about the most, like refresh rate, input lag, and more, the fine print in LG's press release via 9to5 Google suggests that Stadia will also come to the 2020 models running WebOS 5.0 later this year. And according to 9to5 Google, when they mention this though, it reads that, quote, they both have both good news and bad news about it. So for the good news is that Stadia will be available on a lot more TVs than the original reveal led on. Instead of just LG high-end offering, the Stadia app will work on any TV running WebOS 6.0. That will likely include some of the company's more affordable offering that hasn't been announced. In a press release, LG has also confirmed some really good news, that the Stadia app isn't just limited to 2021 TVs. LG has also confirmed that WebOS 5.0 TVs will also get Stadia later this year. That implies at least some gap between Stadia on 2021 models versus the older models, but it's good news nevertheless. Some of the comments they mentioned was, quote, at time of launch, Stadia is available only on LG Smart TVs running at Web 6.0. LG Web's OS 5.0 TVs will receive the service later this year. The bad news is, as with WebOS 6.0, WebOS 5.0 only runs on the company's 2020 release. There's no smaller lineup, and those older models are currently more affordable than the brand new 2021 lineups. But it's a shame that those on older LG models will miss out on Stadia entirely unless they purchase external hardware. It's a shame, but it's also pretty much standard practice with LG's lineup. What you get at launch is pretty much all you ever get. The statement reads that, quote, supporting Stadia on LG TVs is our commitment to customers that gaming is an increasingly important feature expected by LG TV owners, said the Senior Vice President of Corporation of Business Strategy at LG Electronics Home Entertainment Company. Stadia is changing how people access their favorite games and providing a WebOS compatibility. We're making an early commitment to the platform. So some good news and bad news on that one. Some of the LG TVs that have WebOS 5.0 will receive it later this year, but some of the older models are unfortunately going to be out of luck. So in other words, it looks like it is possible you may have to upgrade your TV, especially if you're using an LG TV, if you want to use Stadia and Geforce Now. Putting the bad news aside on it though, this to me is definitely a step in the right direction for, especially if cloud gaming wants to succeed. The idea of basically having like a Stadia, like an app or something like that to play the game, not having to buy a Chromecast or anything like that, is definitely the right move. And I think this approach could definitely help maybe get more people into Stadia and maybe Geforce Now as well. And especially with Xbox Game Pass too, although I've heard that supposedly there's a deal between Samsung TV and Microsoft with Xbox Game Pass and all that stuff. But it's definitely, I would say, this is a step in the right direction if cloud gaming wants to become really, viable and become a success. Are there areas cloud gaming still needs to improve upon? Yes, I won't deny it. It's not 100% perfect, and I don't see it replacing, consoles anytime soon, at least not at the moment though. But I will say that this is definitely the right direction for it to go. So overall, definitely good news though. Obviously, it's only on certain LG TVs at the moment though, but I wouldn't be surprised if we hear other companies add this, start seeing their TVs being able to play Stadia or Geforce Now or Xbox Game Pass. But I will say for cloud gaming though, I do believe that this is a step in the right direction. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 3, and this one has to do with basically some information coming out about Super Mario 3D World that's coming to the Nintendo Switch. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of our My 2 Cent video for this week. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at some of the details that have come out in regards of the Switch port of Super Mario 3D World, which also is going to include Bowser's Fury and all that stuff. So some of the announcements that were made during the 35th anniversary Nintendo Direct on actually the Mario 35th anniversary were several different announcements. Some of them were products and some of them were games like Super Mario 35, which was sort of a battle royale. The announcement of Super Mario 3D All-Stars, which had Mario 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy. Why they didn't add Galaxy 2 is beyond me in any way though. And of course the announcement of Super Mario 3D World, a port of the original Wii U release that is going to be making its way over to the Nintendo Switch. I played that game when it came out for the Wii U though. It's a good Mario game. I'm not saying it's terrible or anything like that, but to me it just never reached the level as say games like Mario 64, Galaxy 1 and 2, and Odyssey did. But nevertheless, it was a good 3D Mario game, and the announcement that they were adding something called Bowser Fury is sort of interesting and all that stuff. Well, we certainly got some more information that has come out, including we now know that there will be amiibo support, to be exact. Several of the articles I have, again, links in the description. Some of them come from the site iMore that points out pretty much the plot is, well, 3D World's plot is pretty much going to be like what it was in the Wii U. So if you played that before, that's not going to change or anything like that though. It still has the multiplayer component. Super Mario 3D World has that, or you can still enjoy it as a single player game. But they've now also added some, for the multiplayer, they've now added supposedly online play. So now you can play Super Mario 3D World from the online part. The article from iMore reads, quote, "The Switch version of Super Mario 3D World allows players to play with others either locally or online. Local multiplayer means that if someone with their own Switch is in the same room as you and has their own copy of Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser Fury, you could connect to the Switch console and play through the game together. Online multiplayer makes it so you can host a room or join an existing one with people online. However, to participate, every player must have a Nintendo Switch Online membership, so that's kind of the downside on it though. So great that you have online. Downside, unless you're part of Nintendo Switch Online membership, you won't be able to access that part though. The Bowser Fury section of the game only allows for up to 2 players, and it seems to be for local player only though, although I haven't heard anything official at this time though. Player 1 will play Mario, while an optional second player can play as Bowser Jr. and all that stuff. We learned that basically there will be amiibo support for it though. It says that not only does both Super Mario 3D World and Bowser Fury supports all amiibos, but Nintendo is also releasing a brand new Cat Mario amiibo and Cat Peach amiibo specifically for the Switch release. It's currently unclear what most amiibos will do in the game, but they do have a list of 4 of the amiibos though. Cat Mario will turn Mario into an invisible white cat Mario. Cat Peach makes random power-up items appear. Bowser makes furry Bowser appear, and Bowser Jr. unleashes powerful shockwaves to knock out nearby enemies and blocks. So they also point out all 4 of the main characters, which I'll be honest with you, having played a Super Mario 3D World, I would say if you ever played the original Super Mario Bros. 2 back during the NES era, Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Toad basically act very similar to that, though. But however, you can also play Rosalia, but you won't be able to unlock her until you defeat Bowser and all that stuff, though. Let's see what else. They've also added stamps and all that stuff. A little bit different than how it was with the Wii U version, which you also had the ability to post it on Miiverse, which unfortunately does not exist in the Nintendo Switch and all that stuff. Basically, then of course there's the Bowser Fury part, which from what I understand, you can access that on the go. You can access that right away. You don't have to basically beat Super Mario 3D World to access Bowser Fury, which, if that story is true, that is certainly nice indeed and all. So what they showed, what we read, and what we've seen from the overview trailer, though, is very impressive and all that stuff. I think Bowser Fury is kind of interesting. I'm very curious to see how that's going to play out, especially seeing a giant cat Mario take on a giant, very, in a way, kind of scary version of Bowser and all that stuff, though. 3D World, though, I will say, still a good game. Like I said before, not as good as the other 3D Mario games I played before in the past, but still enjoyable nevertheless, though. I think seeing Bowser's Fury and all that stuff does make it worth trying the game out again, especially for those who may have missed it out during the Wii U era and all. So overall, some interesting information, though. This one, being a fan of Mario games and all that stuff, I definitely will take a trip down memory lane and see maybe if I like this game now, Super Mario 3D World, now than I did during the Wii U era. And I'm definitely going to try out the Bowser Fury part to see how that all plays out when the game, I think, comes out sometime next month. I'll have to check the date. But like I said, so this is definitely one of the games I'll be keeping an eye out for when it comes out for the Nintendo Switch. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 4, and this one has to do with a controversy that seems to surround the YouTube channel GameXplain. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 4 of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at basically a controversy surrounding the YouTube channel GameXplain. Now, I've subscribed to GameXplain, and I've seen a lot of their contents and all that stuff, and a lot of their videos have been pretty good. Sometimes I cite them in my YouTube videos because they do sort of a quick summary of a lot of the events that are going on, particularly if it's Nintendo related and so forth and all that stuff. And they seem like a generally, nice folks and all that stuff, especially with some of the stuff they talk about. However, it seems as though, and this one I picked up on from basically Nintendo's Prime YouTube channel, is that apparently there seems to be a lot of controversy surrounding this YouTube channel, GameXplain, and this has to do with basically mostly around pay, as it turns out that they're being paid below average and all that stuff. In an article from several articles, this one from Screen Rant, it reads that, quote, former workers at popular YouTube gaming outlet GameXplain has explained the conditions behind the scenes for employees, and the picture paints is not a pretty one. At the tail end of 2020, Steve Bowling, Derek Binter, and Ash P. Paulson I apologize if I'm not saying it correctly, formed Good Vibe Gaming following their departure from the popular YouTube channel. Similar to other recent formed outlets like Kinda Funny, or People Make Games, Good Vibe Games is a splinter group from the much larger organizations featuring veterans reporters starting over fresh in a new realm of influencers and streamers, though. Some of the article basically states that, quote, during their first regular Today's News Tonight broadcast of 2021, the three GVG hosts found themselves bringing up the conditions that employees at GameXplain must endure. In particular, Steve Bowling mentioned that he had to review Final Fantasy VII Remake in just 2 days due to receiving the game late from the publisher. As others from the community has picked up on the comments and researched more deeply, an unearthed Reddit comment made by Bowling's wife that not only was the reviewer crunching hard to deliver a final review in 48 hours, he was receiving a partially $1 and $2 an hour to do it, though. The tweet, the person who posted it on Reddit, the person who wrote this on Reddit says, LOL at manipulating by their women's like we're property. I'll say this, if Steve was treated like a person instead of a machine and paid fairly for the amount of work he was expected to put out, I would have fully supported him staying on at GameXplain. However, for what works out to be around $1-2 an hour between playing through games, writing and producing videos, maintaining and growing relationship with developers, working to get the code for games, etc., I would have been a terrible partner not to encourage him to find a way to continue doing what he loves in a healthy way. As far as him being workaholic, he also maintains and has since before GameXplain a corporate 9-to-5 career while also helping to raise 4 kids. Trust me, he's extremely hard working though. That was the post on the Reddit though. Moving on though. While this level of payment for game review may not be unheard of in the realm of smaller outlets, many have found it unacceptable for a company of GameXplain's stature and profit margins. According to metrics like YouTube measuring stick Social Blade, the channel ranks in almost 10 million views a month, which translate to $30,000 a year at minimum. There has not been a statement from GameXplain about the crunch allocation, but there was at least one case of posts about the statement being wiped from the channel's official subreddit. Much of the channel's likely charging. This has led to subreddit becoming almost solely about both the allegations and who was operating the subreddit moderator account that censored the original posts. There are very few working in games media today who don't have a few employees' horror stories, but the alleged work crunch at YouTube staple GameXplain is pretty damning even by those standards. Considering the outlet is known for incredibly in-depth videos, sometimes analyzing 30-second teaser trailers for multiple hours, the fact that those who participate in in-depth coverage aren't being compensated, if I'm apologize, I'm not saying it incorrectly, anywhere closely to fairly is disappointing to say the least. It's up to the fans if the channel could survive the truth getting out about the business, and it likely won't be the last time that a YouTube channel of GameXplain size has faced the music of how they treat their employees, though. Right, and another article from Vice talks about it, how they describe being severely overworked and unpaid and all that stuff. And then basically an article from Reliable Work News has reported that apparently GameXplain has now increased wages by 300%. Employees now make $6 an hour. According to the article, it says that, quote, GameXplain is under fire for reportedly underpaying their employees despite having painful crunch hours. The information was revealed when former GameXplain employees, now Good Vibe Gaming, put out their first Today's News Tonight broadcast. The former members discussed their brutal hours, low pay, and bloodshot eyes. This doesn't sound very fun for a gaming channel, right? This is exactly why they formed their own gaming channel that will focus on reporting on games that bring them enjoyment. A passion project should be fun, not worse than a retail job. Is GameXplain going to change now that this controversy has come to light? Fortunately, GameXplain founder Andre hopes to make everything right. He announced that all GameXplain employees will receive a 300% pay increase. That sounds monumental. Imagine multiplying your salary by 3 times. This news isn't as great as it sounds. In a public statement, though, employees at GameXplain will now make $3 to $6 an hour as opposed to $1 or $2 an hour. This might not be the change people have been hoping for. What the founders had said about this hot issue. According to the article, it says, we reached out to Andre, who said, I thought $2 was plenty. Imagine just putting out some video game video, and that's already paid for a little under half of your daily coffee. It is a gaming channel. It isn't a job. It isn't a job to talk about video games. I'm sure Ninja keeps all his money to himself too. I thought $2 an hour was enough, but maybe $6 an hour will buy them that coffee. It seems that Andre is more concerned with coffee and politics than gaming. So I have to say, this certainly is not going to look good for GameXplain for a lot of reasons. The fact that a lot of these employees have been treated poorly, though, and being paid what looks like bare minimum is definitely... this could definitely hurt their reputation, though. I mean, going forward, I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing... although we don't know if this will happen, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a push to, unsubscribe to GameXplain and all that stuff and really put pressure on them. I mean, I saw a campaign years ago where it was saying to unsubscribe to these group of content creators because they were claiming copyrights to a certain meme and all that stuff, and there was a definite push for that. So I'm very curious to see how this will go, but I will say this is pretty damning for GameXplain, and they are going to have to work, if they want to survive, they're going to have to work really hard to convince a lot of people that they have learned their lessons and so forth. So this is not good news for them, though. So overall, not great news for GameXplain and everything like that, and this certainly is going to hurt their reputation big time, though. What they do from there, it remains to be seen. It's possible they could survive this, but at the same time, it's also possible that their channel might face their demise because of the way it happened. And I think it's deplorable how these people were treated. And it does raise another issue about the whole issue of crunch in the gaming industry, though, where people are pushed for massive hours to put out a game and basically really feel burnt out. Look what happened to Anthem. Look what we saw with the situation with Cyberpunk 2077, though. It's a issue the industry has to seriously address, though, okay? Look, I like video games as much as the next person, but you know what? Developers are human beings as well. They have friends and families and all that stuff. And these employees who work there are also human beings, though. They also have friends and family, even if they're just reporting on video games, to be exact. They shouldn't be treated like that. So I do hope something good comes out of it, though. But I will say, GameXplain's reputation definitely has been hit by this, though. Whether they recover or not, that remains to be seen. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to our 5th and final part of our My 2 Cent, and this one has to do with CD Project Red responding in regards to the whole situation with Cyberpunk 2077. So, we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our 5th and final part of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at, more controversy with Cyberpunk 2077. I mean, that game has pretty much opened a really big backlash for CD Projekt Red. They were considered by many to be the golden standards for a lot of the developers and all that stuff, saying a lot of things that came off as very pro-consumer, but really fell from grace very hard with Cyberpunk 2077. The only bright spot, it seems as that the PC version has fared better, and even the Stadia version got praised as being really the version that actually worked well and all that stuff. It may have ended up helping Stadia in a certain degree, though. But it seems as though the backlash has really hurt CD Projekt Red nevertheless. We've learned how Sony has pulled the game completely off their store, completely, and was offered refunds and all that stuff. We've learned other cases that basically the working conditions that were not that great, and a lot of employees put their distrust basically, or shall I say, not happy with the higher ups and how they handle the situation. And just recently from Game Industry Buzz, if I could get the article out, it seems as though now the Polish government is now investigating the developers, though, and they could be fined about up to 10% of its annual income. The article from Game Industry Biz reports that, quote, Cyberpunk 2077 developer CD Projekt Red is being investigated by the Poland's Office of Competition and Consumer Protection. The news was originally reported by a Polish business newspaper, with this Office of Competition and Consumer Protection spokesperson saying that the organization approached CD Projekt Red to understand the issues with the game and what actions have been taken to fix them. The article, VI translated by Google Translate, though, we will check how the manufacturer is working on the introduction of an amendment or solution to difficulties preventing the game to work on different consoles, but also how it intends to act on relations to the person who filed the complaint and are dissatisfied with their purchase due to the inability to play the game on owned equipment despite previous insurance that it would. They continue, though. Once they have discussed the situation with CD Projekt Red, it will make a decision on the next step of the into the investigation, though. The newspaper also provided an analyst from, or should I say, an attorney from a law firm, which explains that despite CD Projekt Red's best effort to fix the issue with Cyberpunk 2077, this may not be enough to prevent it from being accused of unfair market practice. And it said that if they find that CD Projekt Red has indeed been misleading up to the run of the disastrous launch of Cyberpunk 2077 and not has made enough effort to fix the problem now, that it is out, the organization could fine the studio up to 10% of its annual income and or oppose refunds, though. So yeah, they're facing a lot of things, though. They're also facing a class action lawsuit claiming the studio lied to investors about the state of the game on PS4 and Xbox One. This whole situation has led to the developers to respond to this by posting up a video on Twitter, which is also available on YouTube, and they shared how the main culprit behind the game's glitches, though. From an article, this one from the Hollywood Video, it reads that, quote, in a video posted Wednesday, CD Projekt Red's co-founder identified the in-game streaming system as the element that became a repeated issue in the lead up to the release, though. In a video, they explain how, just how expansive the open world role-playing game is, not just in terms of quests, but customized element, interactive system, and mechanics. He then identified the in-game streaming system as the main culprit of the problem, which was buggy for gamers playing on older consoles, though. The CEO acknowledged that Cyberpunk 2077, which received favorable reviews on PC, did not meet the quality standard we wanted to meet. He apologized for this, asking that viewers don't fault any team members for what happened. They are all incredibly talented and hardworking. Myself and the board are the final decision maker, and it was our call to release the game. Following consumer backlash to Cyberpunk, Sony pulled the game from the PlayStation Store and offered full refunds. Microsoft offered refunds to consumers who downloaded the game via Microsoft Store and experienced issues playing it on Xbox One. CD Projekt Red apologized at the time, pledging to release updates to fix the issue in the coming months. In terms of the huge scope, the CEO explained that everything is not stretched out over flat terrain where we can make things less taxing hardware-wise, but consents in one big city and in a relatively loading-free environment. On its own, this is a challenge, but we made it even more difficult for ourselves by wanting to make the game look epic on PC and then adjusted to consoles, especially older gens. While this does not look super difficult at first, he said that in time it became clear that the team underestimated the task at hand, specifically the in-game streaming system that had to be constantly improved due to streaming being responsible for feeding the engine with all the details seen on screen as well as the game mechanics. This was a constant challenge, he explained, at every change it needed to be tested. He continued that the PC launch on December 10th was not perfect, but a version of the game that CD Projekt Red is proud of. On older gen console, they had to fight for quality. The fact that all work was completed remotely due to COVID-19 restriction via video calls or over emails provided another challenge for the developers, which I kind of understand that part. I think, let's be real, COVID-19 really threw a wrench on a lot of the game developers and all that stuff, and pretty much a lot of industries too. So that part, I kind of agree. You can't really fault them due to the whole COVID-19 restrictions. Anyway, it says, looking forward though, he said that he and his team will be working hard to ensure the trust is restored to consumers. He noted that 3 hotfixes have already been released to improve the game on consoles, but the ultimate goal is to fix to the bugs and crash gamers are experienced across the platforms. Players can expect bigger and smaller patches on a regular basis, with the first of these updates dropping within the next 10 days. In the following weeks, another more significant update will be released. Beyond that, the game will continue to be worked on with the most important updates and fixed releases first, followed by DLC content for those of you playing it on next-gen consoles. In backwards compatibility, you can still expect the free next-gen update for Xbox Series consoles and PS5 arriving in 2021. So, yeah, CD Projekt Red's got a lot of work cut out for them right now, though. They're going to have to work really hard. Like I said before, they're going to have to work really hard to earn consumers' trust again after how the Cyberpunk 2077 is, though. Now, time will tell if they can finally fix the game and all that stuff, though. But if their actions back up the words that they said, though, then yeah, it is possible for them to recover from this in every way possible. But again, like I said, actions speak louder than words, so they're really going to have to show and prove that they are learning their lessons big time in terms of getting this game to run properly the way it should have run and all that stuff. So it's going to be a tough road up ahead for CD Projekt Red, and the fact that it wouldn't surprise me that this, like, you know, the next gen smart delivery, some of the DLCs, I think for now we're not. I think for now I wouldn't be surprised if they're on the back burner for the moment to focus on fixing the game itself, though. I wouldn't be. It doesn't surprise me if we start seeing something like that. But overall, CD Projekt Red's got a lot of work cut out for them. They're going to have to work really hard to earn consumers' trust. Is it possible they can recover from this? It's a possibility. I don't dispute the fact that it is possible for them to recover from it. Much like what we saw with Square Enix with, I think, Final Fantasy XIV and Hello Games with No Man's Sky. So yes, it is possible to recover from this, but they definitely got their work cut out. They lost a lot of consumers' trust for how Cyberpunk 2077 was handled, and they're going to have to work really hard to earn that trust back, though. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about the announcement of Lucasfilm Games? Are you pleased that Disney is finally doing this? Are you pleased that EA will no longer have the exclusivity to Star Wars, though? Are you happy that Machine Games is working on the Indiana Jones game? Are you happy that Ubisoft is doing an open world Star Wars games? Do you have some concerns, or do you have some hope about this approach that Lucasfilm Games is going to do in terms of handling the Star Wars and possibly the Indiana Jones license? What are your thoughts about the idea of now we're going to see like LG TVs, or I believe it's LG TVs, now you're going to have like Stadia or GeForce Now on their TVs, though. Are you very pleased with this announcement and all this stuff? Do you think this is a step in the right direction for cloud gaming, though? Do you think we'll start seeing other TVs start having, you know, Stadia or like a Stadia app or a GeForce Now app in their TVs going forward? What are your thoughts about some of the information coming out about Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury, though? Are you looking forward to picking up this game in any way? Are you going to try Super Mario 3D World first? Are you going to try Bowser's Fury first, though? Are you excited for picking this up game for the Nintendo Switch, or is this one a pass for you? What are your thoughts about the controversy surrounding GameXplain and all that stuff? Do you think the controversy surrounding it was horrible? Do you think it is possible GameXplain could recover from this controversy, or do you think that the damage has already been done? And what are your thoughts about with Cyberpunk 2077 and the response the CEO made in terms of the apologies and working to fix the game, though? Do you think it's too little, too late for this kind of apology, or do you think it is possible that CD Project Red could recover from this? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You can do it through PayPal me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!